welcome again to the 1994 MOBIL Super League. Tonight, the Melbourne Kea'S take on the Perth Superdrome Bullets at the Adelaide Powerhouse. Well, Melbourne boasts some outstanding players in key positions. Yolanda Whiteman has great poise and skill in the shooting circle. Di Honey is a former international of great experience. And Nikki Richardson has recently won a berth in the Australian Open squad. The skipper is 26-year-old Shelley O'Donnell, who's a strong centre court player with speed and flair, and 4 years behind her in the Australian team. Perth will be looking for the heightened experience of Andrea Parker to serve them well up front. Alongside her, Sharon Goff. The Bullets will also be wanting big games from former AIS scholarship holders Julianne Sloan and Leith Fradd, Leith being one of the game's tougher defenders. The Perth captain is the veteran out there. 34-year-old Laurie Patterson has 13 years of representative experience, including a stint in the Australian squad. Well, later in the show, we'll have highlights from other matches in round one. Two Sydney teams up against Brisbane and the Australian Institute of Sport. To the game at hand, though, and Melbourne on paper look the stronger, but Anne Sargent, Perth capable of the upset.
Yes, Perth are very steady, very experienced lineup, particularly through their players like Laurie Patterson and Andrea Parker. And interesting enough, they have the highest average age in the competition, so a measure of experience there. But I think Melbourne just too young and talented. They've got some wonderful players in the line, very keen to get on with it this year, and in good form in a recent match against the Electricity a couple of weeks ago. So I think it'll be going their way tonight.
Both teams on neutral territory here at the Adelaide Powerhouse, ready for the first quarter. Melbourne Kea'S and Perth Superdrome Bullets. Di Honey for Melbourne Kea'S gets us underway. Melbourne in the red and Perth in the blue and pattern skirts. There is a trace of yellow in there to remind us of WA. And Yolanda Whiteman puts the first shot up. And early it'll be very important for Perth and not to let Melbourne get away from them.
And that's true. I mean, in the back of their minds, I guess, is the fact that Perth were the wooden spooners in last year's competition, and they'd be really keen to quickly assert themselves. And in that way, it's crucial to stay with them through the opening part of the game.
Goff, one apiece. Sharon Goff, probably better known to Super League viewers as Sharon Jarrett. Honey in for Mackie.
Whiteman was open for quite a while on the base then, but Melbourne slow to get the ball around to him. Very quick mover, very deceptive with her use of the ball as well.
And contact against Leanne Mackie.
That's an uncharacteristic miss from Mackie. She's an accurate shooter, and I think been voted most valuable player a couple of times in the Melbourne comp.
Patterson. Against Eslick. And now against Taverner, so Andrea Parker.
Keeper, contact.
Oh, an air ball from there is not what you want to see this early in the game. Sloan.
Sharon Goff looking for the flow and approach to the circle, just a little halted at the moment from Perth. Just trying to connect.
Intimidation in the defence from Eslick. Didn't put off Sharon Goff.
A lot more speed in the approach to the circle evident in Melbourne's play. Of course, they have O'Donnell and Honey, hence the speed, but they move the ball really well around that circle. Lots of movement.
Still Perth by one after 2.5 minutes play. First quarter. Sloan to Goff. Beautiful clean shot from Sharon, 29 years old.
Sharon Goff, a very accurate shooter, quite a dead-eye when she's on. Of course, very experienced. She's represented Western Australia many times at national level. And she's opening good form with 4 from 5.
A good hand on it in there from Sloan, but it's back with Melbourne. Whiteman. O'Donnell, good balance. Mackie.
A strong work then from O'Donnell, holding a space well and then offloading well on the base to Mackie.
Patterson, Goff.
Contact, wing attack.
Patterson misjudging the space. Nicole Richardson, a very capable defender. You should have to be when you're in the Australian squad, and a very versatile player. She can run the middle and the circle.
Versatile athlete.
Not a bad softball.
Yes, former Australian softballer. She's a development officer with Softball.
Is that allowed? Isn't that trade of material?
Contact, hold fix, penalty.
A very talented athlete, as you say.
Mackey, 4-all. Melbourne with co-coaches, Robin English and Leanne Mackey.
Whiteman working the base well. Mackey swung the ball so that they could find Whiteman. Mackey controlling play. She swung the ball so that they could find Whiteman, and they do under the post.
Perth will be with it through Goff. Well, she's a little lucky to get that back. As Eslick had position on Parker, but it bounced straight out into the arms of Goff. And Perth at least doing what we suggested they needed to, keeping pace with Melbourne through the first 4 or 5 minutes. We're at 5 apiece. Mackey.
Both Melbourne shooters on lead, then found them both at the top of the circle, so they need to reorganise. They're right now with the penalty.
Sloan set the pass for Perth. Goff.
Andrea Parker yet to score for Perth. She's the only shooter on court not to have a goal under her belt.
Brought down by Eslick. Honey. O'Donnell. And a rare misunderstanding between those two.
Well, O'Donnell saw Whiteman's lead but elected not to use it. She was going to use the back player, but of course it gave more time for Perth to get a touch. And they're pretty quick on making use of it. Patterson very slight around the outside.
Parker.
And of course that's Parker's attribute, her height.
Yes,
she doesn't have the
184.
mobility, but the height is useful, and if they can find her in good shooting range, she can be quite deadly for them.
Parker at 184 centimetres, the tallest player on court, and she'll need to use that advantage to its fullest. Perth had to stick with Melbourne.
Whiteman on target for her 4th of the match.
Melbourne by 1. 6 minutes gone. And Richardson reading that well but couldn't keep it in. So Patterson.
Oh, well read by Taverner. She knew that it was going to go across court, so she hung off the player and worked the space.
Frad to Wheeler. Patterson. Oh, it's crowded there and she gives it away. The pressure of defence telling.
Good pressure then from Whiteman to play deep down court, and that's what helped the pick-up for Melbourne Kea's.
Good backup from Honey behind Whiteman. Mackey looks very composed in the circle, and
a terribly experienced shooter. And of course, I guess when you've got coaching responsibilities, you need to project that composure and that calmness and shoot a few, and she's doing that all very well.
Melbourne now enjoying their best lead of the quarter. 8-6. Well, a bullet pass to Whiteman, bounced out of her hands. I think she saw it coming. There was just too much on it.
I think the other appealing thing for Leanne Mackey is that she has loads of speed and mobility up the front, so that through Honey and O'Donnell and Whiteman there's the movement, and she can be the static, safe target at the back of the forward line.
Sloan to Patterson for Perth, and they need to get something happening. They've stalled a little, Perth, and that wild pass from Parker, not what was required.
Play.
Taverner restarts. Eslick. Richardson in plenty of space. Penalty up the court against Wheeler. So
Great
Melbourne
deception then from Yolanda Whiteman. Looked across to Honey in the corner, but put it onto the shooter. And watch Whiteman here. Looks across to the feeder, but puts it under the post to her coach, Leanne Mackey.
Centre third.
Melbourne with it once more, looking for a 5-goal lead here. O'Donnell fakes, gives to Mackey.
Whiteman with 6 from 7, opening with great strength in the shooting department.
And Melbourne has comfortably slipped into top gear now to take a 5-goal lead.
And Liz Taverner just pointing out that she's standing where the contact was called, but not so Andrea Parker taking the penalty. So it was a reset and moved her back closer to the edge of the circle. As a result, no goal.
Brilliant skills from Mackie to keep it in play, falling out of court.
Contact penalty.
Unusual choice then from Shelley O'Donnell. Yolanda was further out from the post, but was the free shooter. She took the hard pathway, but draws the contact.
And the Perth bench will be worried by that scoreline.
Barnes' break goal defence.
As Melbourne have scored the last half dozen goals.
Just in the wing area.
Karen Mitchell having to reset herself under the instructions of Barbara Cox. Chris Burton, the other umpire today. Goff. Patterson. Parker to Goff.
Goff with the ball, holds it up till she can find Laurie Patterson, their skipper, and they'll work it round through Andrea Parker. Good stretch from Parker, and the pass off to Sharon Goff, who'll finish.
Meanwhile, Parker has put in another for Perth. And they needed a couple on end. Inside the last 5 minutes of the first quarter, it's Melbourne by 4. Leith Frad, Julianne Sloan, and Amanda Wheeler. Patterson. Sloan to Parker.
Very different play from Perth. They floated the ball into the forward space on that approach play, where with Melbourne it's more strength and drive than to see that float.
Richardson takes a lateral pass. Honey, high ball up.
Just to make a liar of me.
Yeah.
Now, she's an old roomie. She ought to know better than to do something against what I'm calling. Nice shot there of the key uniforms. Melbourne taking new direction with their uniforms this year. New use of colour and graphics that's coming up really well on court for them.
Advantage, intimidation.
Whiteman on target with a 7 from 8, and Leanne Mackie only 1 miss, 6 from 7. So the Melbourne shooters are in hot form in the first quarter. So too Sharon Goff, 6 from 7.
Honey looks for Whiteman, gets the 1-2 going.
Whiteman holding it up so that Leith Frad comes through on the jump.
Yolanda, of course, from the famous netball family, the Hearns. Helena, of course, in uniform design. Leanne Mackie. Patterson to Goff to Parker. Sloan using the post, but only to Melbourne's advantage.
Well, the thought was right, but Goff hadn't quite made it past the post, which is a little necessary to get front position on that sort of drive.
Eslick available on the far side now. Whiteman, Honey.
Contact, goal defence, penalty.
Mackie steady as a rock at the post, and it's 16-8. Remembering it was 6-all at one stage.
Advantage break.
O'Donnell looks for Honey. And a good chase from Frad as Mackie came away from the circle.
Yeah, Mackie outclassed there for speed on the drive, and I think her role for Melbourne is to hug the circle a little more, let the other three put all the sharp moves on.
Play the ball from out of court.
Timing all important on those contests for the rebounds, and Whiteman's timing was good.
Contact, wing defence.
Against Wheeler, so still with Melbourne. Shelley O'Donnell
Hold time.
will eventually get to take it.
Pass the ball back. On the whistle.
Whiteman unmarked on the goal line and puts that one away comfortably for 17-8.
Melbourne looking very comfortable in the opening part of the game. Slow to get started, but now they really are revving up the pace.
Well,
fast break play from them then.
That kind of drive, Perth really haven't shown us that they're capable of. Melbourne, beautiful speed through the midcourt. 18-8.
And not spoiling too many chances when they're in goals. Only 4 misses between the two shooters for 18 shots. It's a great start from all departments on Melbourne.
Well, just enough disguise on that pass from Whiteman to fool the defenders, but not her co-coach, Mackie.
I'm sure she's used to seeing Yolanda look one way and actually offload it the other.
You're causing.
Well, since they were 6-all, Perth have been outscored 13-2. They get 3. So 19-9 and around half a minute left, first quarter. Whiteman.
That's a causing call, meaning that the defender or the player in this case, goal defence, made a position and actually caused the contact. Set the player up virtually is what the call means.
Sloan, a pass in hope more than expectation out there. O'Donnell, timekeeper's up. Melbourne will have to be quick if they want their 21st.
Just in time.
Just quick enough. And time is blown. Well, a very successful first quarter for Melbourne. They made a steady start. Perth kept with them for 5 minutes, and then it all got away from the Superdrome Bullets at quarter time. It's 21-9 to Melbourne over Perth. Melbourne get us back underway, second quarter, and the story of the first down, Perth down on opportunities and a little down on percentages as well.
Yes, down on 10 scoring opportunities compared to Melbourne, but what a great start from the Melbourne shooting duo. Leanne Mackey with 10 from 12 at 83%, and similar stats from Yolanda Whiteman, 11 from 13, 84%, so a fine effort from them. A great effort also from Perth's goal attack, Sharon Goff, 6 from 7, 85%. Andrea Parker, though, their shooter, down on accuracy in the opening quarter with only 37%.
Mitchell with the restart for Perth from goal line. Frad. Sloan. Wheeler to Patterson.
Great pressure from Nicole Richardson.
Sloan. This one, really Melbourne out playing as we might have expected them to, especially in the midcourt. When you look at O'Donnell, Honey and Richardson, 3 very experienced, fast, skillful players. They'd have as strong a midcourt as any team in the Super League.
Yeah, very pacey, but also, as you say, the strength component there. It's the drive that's really special from them. And a lot of youth, very talented lineup. Of course, the lineup, we've seen Melbourne Pumas before in Super League quite a bit, and for Doncaster to be here, for the Melbourne Kea's to be here, it's a new lineup, so it's fresh, and of course they're very excited about playing as a combination.
It's a sloppy restart from Perth. They're just a little put off their game at the moment.
Well, Richardson really putting the pressure on Perth skipper Laurie Patterson. She's got her hands to the last 3.
Eslick was reading that intercept. O'Donnell to Honey. Oh, Mackie.
Rebounds off the keeper. Keeper's nightmare.
Well, Melbourne a little lucky that time, but maybe the speed of the drive was worth the goal anyway. 23-9.
Whiteman continuing on her winning way, popping the first 2 in of the second quarter.
We talked about age at the start of the program. Perth, the most experienced, well, in terms of age, if not representative experience, with an age of 27 and a half, and Melbourne at 24 years, the average age. Melbourne also the shortest team in the Super League. It's not hurting them here. Perth one of the tallest.
Yes, I think particularly if you look at the circles, that's where Melbourne lose a bit of the height that you might find in other lines, but particularly the defence circle, extremely athletic, very agile, so they lose nothing by not having the height.
Lovely trajectory on the shot from Whiteman.
Yeah, just giving the wrist a little flick earlier on when she was returning to the centre, just checking it was loose and that the flow was good.
And Goff puts in the first for Perth of this quarter after 3 minutes. Whiteman. Oh, a high ball up for Mackie.
Mackie holding a space really well then, very tough. She didn't have much room to work in, but put the hold on nicely.
Contact, goal defence.
Richardson again with a touch.
Andrea Parker needs to get her goals going.
Haven't looked confident all match, have they? That one even stuttered in. Just needs a bit more lift and a bit more fluency in the style. But in is in.
It's not how, it's how many.
Sneaky, that Whiteman, have you noticed that?
Yeah, there's another one of those.
She's going to trick someone soon when she looks at them and does throw it.
Contact and offside.
O'Donnell with the
that
fake.
was lovely.
Oh, yeah. The Sir Kenny, a bit of Sir Kenny in that. And a fairly content Melbourne bench even at this stage as you look at a 15-goal spread. Patterson for Perth.
Manager, of course, for Melbourne is Di Honey's mum. A bit of a family connection there for Melbourne Kea's.
Goff with another for Perth.
Both teams with 5 attempts apiece in the opening part of the second quarter, but it's Melbourne that are doing the damage with the attempts, and a lovely pass then to find Whiteman in good range. Honey with the disposal from the centre, but watch the timing between Honey and Whiteman. The stretch comes now. Great timing, good understanding between those two.
Goff down to Parker. Perth need a few.
Advantage offside.
Parker with 7 from 8. She's looking very relaxed in goals. Steve, I think the big difference is that Perth have no answer, no way to stop the drive through the midcourt from Melbourne.
Where you are.
It's a lot of pace, strength,
Yes.
and skill from the Melbourne mid-3. Whiteman out to
High
O'Donnell.
advantage. Offside. Bullets.
Advantage break, wing defence.
Parker. And some of the pressure on Perth coming about from their inability to create enough options around the shooting circle. They look and there's nobody there or nobody free.
Yeah, it's a little static, whereas when you look at Melbourne, you see lots of strong re-offers there and the ball being swung to open the space. It's a bit one-to-one up this end. Again, we see Sloane quite anchored on the circle rather than releasing the circle and putting another offer on outside it.
That time no pressure on Parker. The lead 14. 3.5 minutes out from half-time.
As was the pattern in the first quarter, though. Parker, the shooter on court with least opportunities.
Bullets.
So for Perth, Sharon Goff having to do a lot of the court work, a lot of the court play, as well as the shooting responsibility, and that's a pattern that hasn't changed throughout the game, whereas a lot of teams will see shooters change shooting leads. Parker now on strike.
Well, this will probably be a lower scoring quarter for Melbourne. It's 13-10 for the quarter at the moment. They scored 21 in the first, so the Perth defence is probably operating a little more efficiently as we watch another intercept from Leith Frad. With the pass out to Goff. Oh, it was Amanda Wheeler. Okay, thank you. I can read.
I think when she's got to play against Shelley O'Donnell and she's operating well, we should give her the interception score. I think for Melbourne, they're aware they have a decent lead and just coasting a little bit throughout this quarter.
It's advantage obstruction. Centre.
That was pretty direct play, though.
Bullets.
36-19. A little run from Melbourne at the end of the quarter. Patterson out to Sloane.
Not able to pick the shooters up on their first offers, holding up delivery to them. This is really making them work quite hard, making it quite congested back in that circle.
Breaking attack.
Oh, I'm not sure why she didn't give that to O'Donnell. It was a lovely move to the top of the circle and the best feeding position to sit there right at the top and have a look, but Whiteman had other ideas.
Take pass, please, or lose it. There's no time out for shoelaces. Delay.
And
That's a fact, if there ever was one. That's quite the case. The rule book doesn't allow the shoelaces being tied, but at a domestic level, a lot of umpires will extend that courtesy.
And Julianne Sloan went on and did finish the tying operation, so she
made her own statement, you think? I think it was the wrong one. Well, the wrong time to make it.
Advantage obstructing, wing defence and intimidation.
Sloan. Inside the last minute of the second quarter.
Contact shooter.
Good positioning then from Eslick. Had front position, went up nice and on line to the ball.
It's advantage contact.
Double play,
Carolyn,
Mackie onto O'Donnell.
A bit of water here where the player threw it in.
And Mackie's shot
It's advantage
comes down for
shooter.
Perth.
Roll in.
Time enough for another goal. Just keep an eye on the timekeeper, not up yet. Honey looks for O'Donnell. Well, there was a little crowded around Mackie there. Would have been a dream pass to pick her out, but it's still with Melbourne. Whiteman.
Melbourne showing off their repertoire too. Often the high ball into Mackie, sometimes the bounce or the fast straight play.
That's the end of the quarter, and the lead has got out to 17. It was 12 at quarter time, so it was a better effort from Perth, but at half-time, Melbourne doing it comfortably, 37-20 over Perth. Third quarter underway, and a look at the second quarter stats sees a better effort from Perth, Anne, but they've got to lift it still further. Yes,
more in touch in terms of possession opportunities, but still not having two shooters firing. You look at the stats on Andrea Parker, she's sitting on 50%, which is an improvement from the first quarter, but still not enough to get the win for Perth. Goal attack, though, Sharon Goff doing well with 8 from 11. And for Melbourne, Leanne Mackey on 63% for the second quarter, but it's Yolanda Whiteman who's really putting in a tremendous performance in the shooting department with 9 from 11, 81%.
Perth have made some positional changes as we watch Parker put up the shot. I wouldn't have backed her from that distance on a performance tonight. She's been a little off her goals. Julianne Sloan has moved from centre to wing defence for Perth, and Sue Nicholas is the new centre. And also made a change at goalkeeper. Karen Mitchell on the bench now. Philippa O'Connell coming on.
And those changes I would expect to counter what we've been commenting on, the great drive and speed and power through the middle for Melbourne.
Whiteman to Honey to Mackey.
Contact, centre.
And straight away against Sue Nicholas. (39-21). Nicholas to Patterson. Parker back to Nicholas. And the shot is good from Sharon Goff. There's so much backing up from Melbourne. The defenders looming up to the transverse line to lend support.
That was a great roll then from Leanne Mackey to find herself well placed under the post, but she can't finish it.
Goff for Perth. Patterson. Hand on it from Richardson. Bounces out for Shelley O'Donnell.
I guess we should remind regular Super League viewers, Shelley O'Donnell, of course, was the import player for Adelaide Contacts last season. So if anyone's getting confused, she does hail from the Doncaster Kea's club, but was picked up as an import and had a brief holiday in Adelaide. Very brief.
Simone McInnes is the Melbourne player who's come across to Adelaide this year for Super League competition. And I really think that this movement of players around the Super League is a sign of the sport growing up.
Contact centre.
Here I think is a sense of maturity. Of course, we have an international import for the first time this year, Patricia McDonald, across from Jamaica to play with Brisbane. And it certainly adds a great deal of colour and interest for Australian spectators.
Lead is 18 for Melbourne.
Oh, great anticipation and wonderful timing there from Liz Taverner.
This Liz, a former Australian under-21 player.
Called the obstruction on the wing defence, causing.
Well, O'Donnell was stepping, but the obstruction is what caused her the footwork infringement, trying to get over the ball. So that's acknowledged as the first infringement.
Good stretch from little Shelley.
Very balanced, Shell.
She's only 169 centimetres. Fingers outstretched for that one.
Play!
She could work well on a balance beam with that sort of performance.
So are you leading me in to say that the ABC has the World Gymnastics Championships in April later this year?
And yes, Shelley O'Donnell will be appearing.
4.5 minutes gone, third quarter.
You up. Play!
Melbourne not content with a 17-goal lead. They enjoyed it at half-time. They're continuing to build.
Kea's use of colours very similar to that of the Australian Institute of Sport, but just in a different configuration.
Goal defender.
Should be quite eye-catching when those two take the court at the same time.
2 on 1 on O'Donnell, so Honey had to go elsewhere. Richardson.
Contact, wing attack.
Contact against Patterson.
Bullet from Richardson. Looked at the shorter options and decided no, she'd take the most direct pathway to the circle.
Intimidation, penalty.
Intimidation call comes out when a defender's at full stretch and gets a bit of movement across the eye line of the goal shooter.
Patterson working hard but well away from the circle. Now she's in close for Parker.
Throw it in. Lay.
Well, the post was a little on the move there, didn't help Parker.
I think it might have been a teammate that actually bumped it. Melbourne look really confident, particularly as they cross the transverse line and look to the circle.
Oh, I'm not sure what Yolanda was up to there. She's flexing that left knee, so maybe she was put off a little bit.
Back next to her.
Whether it was a pass or an airball shot at goal.
Bullets.
The lead is 20.
It's offside.
Do you think these two centre court players have been doing gym and we don't know about it?
It's offside.
Di Honey's trying to compete.
Taverner gets
two
Melbourne
passes
going
and they're
again.
on the circle. Very direct play from Melbourne.
A delightful goal from Melbourne. Length of the court drive. And they're out by 21.
Enjoy it again. 1, 2, and they're on the circle. The offload to Mackie, and they'll do a double shuffle to get her closer to the post. And the final offload to Whiteman.
Perth yet to win a quarter.
Smacked in all the way with the armour. Shot or pass.
Frad running the baseline with the arms raised. It's fine to have a go if you think the ball's coming, but then you've got to retract the extended arm and go again later, but she didn't.
Real determination there from Nikki Richardson. Really found herself at the centre of a controversy last year when she was overlooked for Victoria, wasn't she, for Nationals? And then Joyce Brown selected her for the Australian squad.
Yeah, because she's such a talented softballer too, she has strong commitments to both sports, strong demands on her time. Richardson to Whiteman on the drive, and Mackie picks her up close to the post.
Honey O'Donnell to Whiteman.
Contact.
Whiteman with 10 shots for the quarter. 10 from 13. Impressive scoring from her. Mackie 8 from 10. So they're really putting in the goals in this third period.
Yes.
Kea's. 18-10. That Perth have been outscored in this third quarter. With under a minute left now.
Advantage.
Laurie Patterson taking the long way round then. Instead of driving the inside, she had elected to go around the congestion.
Honey caught a clip on the jaw, but she's all right. As Goff puts in another.
Advantage, intimidation, wing defence.
Timekeeper chasing Barbara Cox around.
Time, girls.
And there won't be time for that throw-in they called for. Melbourne posting towards a win in their first game in the Super League for 94. At three-quarter time, they lead Perth 56-31. Sue Nicholas for Perth gets us underway, final quarter. And Sharon Goff shooting well for Perth. If they could just get her more of the ball, they might be a bit closer.
I don't know that she could work much harder than she is. I think it is that they lack the balance between the two shooters. They don't have two on fire at the same time. It's been a consistent story with Andrea Parker sitting at 50% or below throughout the match, and I think that's where they're really missing it in the finish. For Melbourne, though, the story's all good. Consistently fine statistics with 9 from 11 for Leanne Mackey, 81%, and Yolanda Whiteman, very hot tonight, 10 from 13, 76%.
Yes, the Melbourne shooters have been in the 70s or low 80s.
Goal defender, keeper, sorry. Wrong side of the player.
So 56-32 as we get into the final quarter.
And as we just discussed the shooting stats, Amanda Wheeler, showing her versatility, has come on as goal shooter for Perth. She's just hit the deck now and called for time, but we saw her in the first half of the match as wing defence for Perth.
And you did spot her in the warm-up, having a few shots.
Yeah, I wondered why wing defence was in there shooting, but obviously why.
Okay.
Wheeler okay to continue. Goff with the shot though for Perth.
Play.
Kavanagh to Richardson. Honey. O'Donnell. It's an easy, quick passage up court for Melbourne.
Throw it in. Lee.
Philippa O'Donnell restarts for Perth.
Oh, a nice break then from Laurie Patterson, but Sharon Goff unable to pick her up on the move. She drew Richardson to the top of the circle. And put a nice, tidy move on away from it. Richardson. Old news now.
Mackie.
Oh, but that's going across to Honey, but intercept for Whiteman. And a shot.
Intercept only for her teammate's pass, so it was worthwhile taking.
O'Donnell picks up Mackie, and strong pass intercepted, we think, by Whiteman, and she'll finish.
Nicholas to Fred to Goff.
Contact, wing attack.
And that one goes against Patterson, even though they were in possession. Whiteman.
Bullets.
Well, Yolanda's been showing the full bag of tricks this match.
And here's another sample of the deception and the disguise and the great skills of Yolanda Whiteman. Both goal attacks neck and neck in this final quarter, vying for the most perfect stats, both on 1 miss apiece. And Mackie now in the contest too, although she's missed 3 in this last period. Can't really fault either goal attack though. Both Whiteman and Goff great in goals tonight.
Richardson restarts for Melbourne. Whiteman across to O'Donnell.
Donald really drags Sloane to the top of the circle, but just too much speed on the change of direction. She's really explosive off the mark, and she'd quickly freed that space up into the corner.
Here!
Mackie.
Offside.
There's Nicholas offside. Whiteman from mid-range and falls in for her.
Even the unsure ones want to go through, don't they? 6 from 7.
I'm sure, and you have those days where the ones that hit the ring either drop in or drop out. And for Yolanda, it's the more positive outcome. Goff.
On the ball. Pussy.
Wesley guilty of a hand on the ball there as Goff went to shoot.
Yeah, Deslick had held position on the arm and the ball had come into her. The attacker would have been at fault, but Deslick moving as well as the attacker moving then.
Goal defender, contact. Bullets!
This is going to be a high-scoring start to the competition for Melbourne. If they hit 70, they've really had a field day. Mackie and Whiteman have played very well. And the changes in the Perth lineup throughout the game just haven't been able to work the magic.
Play advantage, offside wing. It's advantage, contact, shooter.
4 Melbourne players really working the mid-court well. A lot of pressure from them in defence. Haven't let up all night.
It's an aspect I'm sure would please the Melbourne coaches. Right to the last couple of minutes, everyone working hard in defence.
Play!
Their scoring rate has fallen from the 3rd quarter, although that was quite impressive with 19, but the defensive effort's still there from Melbourne. I think testament to their fitness as well.
It's advantage. Here.
Another one from Whiteman.
Melbourne using the sideline well here. 1, 2, 3, and Whiteman to finish.
It's advantage, obstruction, keeper.
Honey to Whiteman, and
I was just about to say it's been pretty reliable once it's gotten into Landy Whiteman's hands, and of course as soon as I thought it, she dropped it, so I'm
Well, at least
sorry
you
about that,
didn't
Yolanda. Yeah, at least I never said it, that's right.
Melbourne have taken the quarters 21-9, 16-11, 19-11. They've been a little more restricted, as you say, Anne, in this final quarter, but that doesn't mean Perth are going to take the quarter. They've been restricted to 10 goals in this final term. Melbourne have 14 at the moment.
Good work then from young Philippa O'Connell.
It's been a dominant, consistent display from the Melbourne 7, who've gone through the match unchanged.
Kea'S.
Play advantage, obstruction,
Richardson.
goal attack, advantage, obstruction.
Oh, plenty on that pass. She's very strong, Nikki Richardson.
It's in the outfield.
That's right.
Yolanda Whiteman, 10 from 11 to shut down this game. She'll be getting her bottle of water to finish. Maybe an orange quarter bonus. O'Donnell well aware of where the circle was then, just couldn't finish it.
Nicholas for Goff. And easily picked up by Taverner. Hasn't been a weak player on court for Melbourne.
Who's your pick?
All 7, yeah. I guess maybe somebody in the midcourt, because although they've probably dominated in all thirds, it's been the midcourt where Perth have struggled the most, so maybe that's where most of the Melbourne credit should go. But the shooters have done the job, so too the defenders in Taverner and Erslick. But O'Donnell, Honey and Richardson have been nothing less than awesome.
Advantage obstruction centre. Kind of.
And time is finally blown by Barbara Cox to end a match that Melbourne will enjoy looking back. 72-43. Plenty to learn from it for Perth, and I'm sure better will come from them across the Super League. But a good start for Melbourne. 72-43, winners over the Perth Superdrome Bullets. A very solid and accomplished performance from Melbourne. Their captain, Shelley O'Donnell, is with Anne Sargent.
Thanks, Steve. Well, Shelley, congratulations. Very comfortable win. Were you expecting it that easy?
No, we weren't expecting it to be that easy. A lot of us haven't seen Perth. They were a bit of an unknown team, and I thought that they'd be a bit closer to us. But it was good that they were close at the start. We pulled away, and then were able to hang on and just create a larger lead, and then end up winning by 30. It was great for us. First go in Super League gives us great confidence.
And of course, Australian viewers used to seeing you more in green and gold as a centre. Are you enjoying wing attack?
Yeah, I don't mind either these days.
Tell the truth.
No, seriously, I quite like wing attack. I'm carrying a bit of a cold at the moment, so it was good to have a run on the wing, not have to do as much like I would have had to have done in the centre. But that's the option that we've got there. Di and I can swap over. She often plays wing attack. It's sort of a little bit like the Australian team. I'm playing both, and I feel that I can play both well, so I'm quite happy to be anywhere.
Well, first time in Super League for the Melbourne Kea'S. The team looks like it's really confident.
Yeah, we've been working really hard. For the last few years, we've been trying to get into the Super League, and it's just great that we finally got in this year. We had a great season last year. The whole team gets along really well, and I think this is a start for us, and hopefully we'll be up there with the top teams.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you, Anne.
Steve, Melbourne Kea'S with points on the board.
Thanks very much, Anne. And while matches have been played here at the Adelaide Powerhouse, other games have been underway in Sydney in the first round. Brisbane and the Institute of Sport were the visitors against Sydney Synovus and Sydney Electricity.